you for joining us on Republic TV this Sunday evening. The centre has held a high-level review meeting after a 34-year-old man from the national capital with no history of foreign travel tested positive for the monkeypox virus, making it the fourth case of the disease reported in India. Sources saying the meeting by the centre was chaired by the Directorate General of Health Services and attended by officials from the Health Ministry, the National Centre for Disease Control and ICMR, among others. Now, a lot of people have questions around what's going on because this is the fourth case of the disease being reported in India, and the WHO has called it an emergency worldwide. And the latest patient, a 34-year-old man from the national capital, had recently attended a party, we are told, in Manali in Himachal Pradesh. A resident of West Delhi, the man was isolated at the LNJP hospital in Delhi around 3 days ago after he showed symptoms of the disease. A lot of people have questions around monkeypox, and a lot of viewers have been writing into us. So let's go across to Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Senior Pediatrician and Chairman, Nephron Clinic, and Dr. Sanjit Sasidaran, who's a consultant and head of critical care at the SL Raheja Hospital. Both of them joining us on the show this evening. Good evening, doctors. Dr. Bagai first. Good evening. A lot of viewers, writing in and asking what this means and why we need to be aware. Dr. Bagai, to you first. If you can tell us more about, your view on where we stand today and why India must be careful.
Good evening. So this virus is very much new with regards the Indian scenario. Likewise, most of the world. This is a single-stranded DNA virus. It belongs to the orthopox group of viruses, which also includes things like vaccinia, which is of the old frame, or the cowpox vaccine, cowpox virus. This transmits basically through animal to human transmission, human to human transmission, and it's a large study which has been done in UK because that was the first case reported worldwide on 6th of May, in which they showed a lot of this is in gays who practice same-sex sexual contact. And they have also now proven, again in another UK study, that it is airborne, both droplet and microaerosol. So the real carry-home message is that this is having a long incubation period ranging from 5 days to 21 days. The disease itself, the symptomatology can last for approximately 10 to 14 days. By and large, it is mild. You have severe rashes, almost invariably rashes, high-grade fever, very, very bad fatigue and muscle pain, and then pustules. You have lymph node enlargement. Very rarely you have complications like CNS complications, like encephalitis, etc. The trick is really of early isolation. Don't self-medicate. Don't hide the symptoms. Bring it to the attention of the local health authorities. This virus is not known to mutate as much as what the RNA viruses mutated, like the SARS-CoV-2, which causes COVID-19 disease. There is two types of vaccines which are available internationally. Both are live virus vaccines given subcutaneously at 4 weeks gap, having about an 85% protection rate. But I don't think we need to reach a stage of vaccination discussion as far as the Indian scenario is concerned. This is still very early days. We've got about 4 cases, but a high vigilance. I think the medical community needs to be sensitized. To be honest with all the viewers, none of us have seen monkeypox in the recent past in our own clinical practices. So I think we all have to learn it. We have to read more on it, and we need to bring it to the attention as far as the public is concerned. Any high-grade fever with rash, lymph node involvement, severe fatigue, pustular type of rash, very much like chickenpox or the old smallpox, bring it to the attention of the local doctors. No need to panic, but quick isolation is important because this is transmissible.
Let me go across to Dr. Sanjit Sasidaran, and our lines are open, so a lot of viewers also calling in now. We'll start taking their calls, but let me come to Dr. Sanjit next. Dr. Sanjit, some of our viewers asking questions about symptoms. What are the symptoms of monkeypox, and what should they do if they have symptoms? If you could take that question.
Right. So, am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So the symptoms, largely Dr. Bagai has explained, but characteristically there would be a rash. Now the rash comes as circumscribed kind of rash, which goes from being a macule to a papule to a pustule. A pus kind of pussing rashes is what you get. Along with fever, with what we have for a viral fever, which includes headache, a body ache, and a fatigue. I mean, we're all used to this now with COVID coming in. We're all prepared. We know that the only difference here is the presence of a rash and a lymphadenopathy. That means a small swelling that may be under the cheek or in the axilla. So these are the things that you're going to look out for at this particular moment whenever we have. And also importantly, there would be a transmission link. There may be somebody who's come in from somewhere. You would have contacted in close contact somebody who's moved from place to place. And that's probably one of the epidemiological link, also very important, the diagnosis with the symptoms that I just now mentioned.
Okay. Dr. Bagai, some more questions coming in. How does monkeypox spread, and what should one do if they have symptoms?
Yeah, so the transmission is basically seen, what we've learned from mainly the African continent. There are two different clades of this virus. One is called as the Congo Bay, which is in Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. And the second is what we call as the Western Central clade. Is from animals to humans. So it comes from basically monkeys and then it transmits to humans. There are rodents like squirrels, rats, mice, which become as intermediate hosts. So there is animal to human transmission, there is human to human transmission, and there is a sexual route of transmission too. So I think we need to be extremely careful in case you have person-to-person contact, if you have abrasions on the skin or cracks in the skin, especially you can have genital sores, you can have eye sores. So I think the person-to-person contact is more important. Keep away from animals, that's for sure. And in case anyone has fever or any rash, you should keep well away. But in case you yourself manifest with this rash and fever, headache, fatigue, lymph node enlargement or difficulty in swallowing, please bring it to the attention of a medical doctor.
Okay. Okay, one more question now coming in. I'll put that to Dr. Sanjit. Dr. Sanjit, some of our viewers asking, how does monkeypox spread, and how can monkeypox be prevented?
Right. So
just lost your audio there, Dr. Sanjit. Just lost your audio there. Yeah, I think you maybe. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, got your audio back. Yeah, go ahead.
So I think Dr. Bagai has largely answered that question. It actually spreads through direct human-to-human transmission. It may spread through aerosol or through large droplets, and it can spread when these scabs that form, and the lesions that form, and the lesions split up and it touches. That means it spreads through secretions. And more importantly, what we know is it spreads through by sexual transmission from the same sex, especially seen from last two studies that we've seen. How can we prevent it? Yes, the most important thing is to keep away from people who've got fever, rash. This should not be a stigma, though. This should not be a stigma. You should reveal that there is fever, and then we should keep ourselves isolated, or the person who is having fever and a rash and has been diagnosed should be kept away from the rest of the people. Their clothes, just like what we did for COVID, we should ensure that these fomite spreads are actually prevented by preventing to use the same contacts, same bed sheets, same things, and of course wearing a mask in front of those people, a triple layer mask worn by the patient, as well as a triple layer mask, N95 mask worn by the people who are taking care would probably help.
Okay, so let's take some of our viewers calling in on Republic this evening. I think Rohita is calling us. Rohita is calling us in from Chennai. Rohita, good evening. Go ahead, ask your question.
Hi, Niranjan. You conduct news very well, and we are totally fans of yours.
Thank you, Rohita. Go ahead. Ask your question.
Yes. See, actually, I am an immunocompromised patient, okay? Autoimmune systemic scleroderma patient with interstitial lung disease. So, first of all, what should I do to keep this at bay? Number one. Second question, even if I get it, what is the treatment for that? What I have to, do for treating that, where I have to do, how, and all those very, very, confusing questions on my head going on now.
Okay. Dr. Bagai, you want to take that question? I think that one of the most important, okay, that's just an observation. I'll add it and leave it to you. But a lot of people have questions and there's very little awareness perhaps on it. Dr. Bagai.
Sure, I think this is an extremely important point. There is a large segment of patients who suffer from some sort of immunodeficiency or immunocompromised state. The scleroderma or mixed connective tissue disorders is one group, but typically it is very vulnerable in patients who have atopic dermatitis or other immunocompromised states. Children are more vulnerable and the elderlies. The unfortunate part of this entire management is that both the vaccines which are so far available in some Western countries so far are largely under trial, but they are live virus vaccines. So it's not advisable to give a live virus vaccine if you are in an acute relapse or not in total remission in an immunocompromised state. There are antivirals which are available, which have shown about 80-85% efficacy. But really the carry-home message is to, if you're going out of the house in a crowded place, please wear a mask. I think the World Health Organization initially had said that this is not airborne. I want to state very clearly, there is a large study in UK which has comprehensively proven that it is airborne, both through droplets and through microaerosols and through surfaces. And there are percentages available on the net. This is largely publicized. So I think we need to be careful with regard to social contact with close crowded places, poor ventilated places, the same protocol of any airborne virus disease. But there is no need to panic. Largely it is self-limiting. It doesn't have a huge range of complications, but in immunocompromised states, there may be certain complications. So protect yourself. Any fever, pustules, rash, severe fatigue, headache, lymph node enlargement, seek medical attention, but please isolate yourself so that you don't transmit it to others.
Okay. Getting in more callers. Before that, another question that came in a few minutes back. One of our viewers asking Dr. Sasidharan if there's a vaccine to prevent monkeypox. You want to take that question?
So as Dr. Sanghavi said, there is a live vaccine that is available. Now, what you must understand is all the vaccinia vaccines, that's the ones that we use for smallpox, are 85% effective against monkeypox. So that's what's being trialed as of now. And very soon we should get vaccines. I mean, that's what's happening. Pandemic speed is taking up, and we're probably going to be soon getting vaccines in monkeypox also. But all said and done, the vaccinia vaccines are the ones also called as the Gynevis, is something that is has been certified and authorized by the US to actually be given, because it's a vaccine that was used for poxviridae, which is 85% effective against monkeypox.
Thank you for that. Juliet is calling us in from Shillong. It's good to have callers all the way from Chennai to Shillong this evening on Republic. Juliet, good evening. Your question. Go ahead.
Good evening. Actually, my question is, since, the emergency has just erupted, in the nation regarding this specific, monkeypox. So I just want to know that, in case if anybody have these kind of symptoms, what would be the immediate medicine, which a patient, can take it, at that point of time.
Dr. Bagai, you want to take that question? Okay. Either of you doctors, go ahead.
Sure. So I think the initial treatment at home is largely symptomatic. I would only suggest that you can take a dose appropriate and age and weight appropriate dose of paracetamol. Do not walk down the lines of taking any drugs like aspirin, nimesulide, brufen, or diclofenac sodium, which is commonly in India known as Vovaran. Don't take combination painkillers or fever medicines. Rely just on paracetamol. Isolate yourself, wear a mask, and hydrate yourself well. Keep your nutrition up. If you are on any immunocompromising drugs or any anti-metabolites, please consult your doctor. Any high fever and rash, consult your doctor. This is largely self-limiting, and only in certain cases you may require antivirals. Antivirals are available, much like other pox group of viruses. I don't think we need to walk down the path of vaccination just yet. I think this is still very early days, and we don't need to spread panic. I think the medical community itself needs to conduct a very large level of seminars to reorient the primary care physicians and the general practitioners about the do's and don'ts and the early signs, so that we ourselves form a learning curve so that we can disseminate knowledge further to the community.
Yeah. One of our viewers asking, with the centre also meeting today, the government meeting, of course, it tells you that we are responsive and they're looking at it closely. But Dr. Sasidaran, some of our viewers asking if there is a need for India to be worried at this point, and how serious do you see this?
So I repeat the same thing that Dr. Bagai said. There is no need to panic at all. The country task force meeting together is just getting prepared that if there is a problem, how do we deal with it? That is the only reason. This is what is going to be usual. In the World Health Organization actually saying that it's a public health emergency, just to let us know that we have to be prepared. And importantly, after COVID, we are so well prepared with viral diseases that I don't think there is any cause for panic at all.
Okay. Mr. Shetty is calling us in, Mr. B.M. Shetty. B.M. Shetty ji, go ahead. Puchiye, what's your question, sir? Good evening.
Good evening, Niranjan sir. मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है.
Go ahead, sir.
अगर what is the क्यों कोरोना को और ये मंकीपॉक्स को क्या डिफरेंस है? अगर मंकीपॉक्स के लिए हम लोग क्या करने का? आप लोग थोड़ा हिंदी में बताओ चाहते हैं. हम लोग गरीब आदमी है, इधर ये छोटा एरिया है.
No, that's okay. Absolutely.
हम लोग हिंदी में बताएं.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely, Mr. Shetty. But Dr. Bagai, you want to take that? Maybe I'm just because I'm hoping you're much better versed in Hindi than Dr. Sasidaran at this point. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Niranjan, can you just repeat his question, please?
I think his question was, how is monkeypox different from COVID? And, what are the awareness levels that are required? What does the common man need to be aware about? Yes.
So I'll explain to the gentleman in Hindi.
Yes,
जो
please.
SARS-CoV-2 वायरस था जिसके साथ कोविड-19 डिजीज होती है, वो एक आरएनए वायरस है जो कंटिन्यूसली म्यूटेट, मतलब वो कंटिन्यूसली चेंज होते रहा है. जो ये वायरस है, एक ये सिंगल स्ट्रैंड डीएनए वायरस है. तो वायरस का जो स्ट्रक्चर है वो अलग है, वो ज्यादा म्यूटेट नहीं होता है. इस वायरस के साथ जो हम मंकी पॉक्स वायरस कहते हैं, इसके साथ हाई ग्रेड फीवर ज्यादा होता है, बहुत बॉडी एक, मसल पेन, जैसे शरीर टूटना, चिल्स, ठंड लगना, और पस्ट्यूल्स होते हैं, जैसे पस जैसे लीजन्स होते हैं स्किन पर, जो हम रैश कहते हैं. तो अगर आपको ये सिम्टम्स हैं तो आप डॉक्टर से संपर्क जरूर करिए. अगर आपने कोई इलाज लेना है, खाली आप पैरासिटामोल लीजिए घर में, अपने आप को हाइड्रेट अच्छे से करिए. ये चीज बच्चों में ज्यादा देखी जाती है और एल्डरलीज, क्योंकि उनका इम्यून स्टेटस कम रहता है. ये काफी हद चिकन पॉक्स के जैसे बिहेव करती है. पर इंपॉर्टेंट है कि अगर किसी को अनफॉर्चुनेटली ये होए, ये कम से कम 10 और 14 दिन ये चलता है. ये रैश काफी फेजेस में आता है, क्रॉप्स में आता है, और जब ये हील होता है, जब ये स्किन हील होती है, जो स्कैब गिरता है, जो छिलका गिरता है, वो भी इन्फेक्शियस होता है. तो जब तक सारा रैश पूरी तरह हील ना हो, आप पूरी तरह आइसोलेशन से बाहर नहीं निकल सकते.
Okay. Mr. Shetty, I hope that answered your question. And at this point, I'd like to thank Dr. Sasidaran and Dr. Sanjeev Bagai for joining us. I'll have to take a short break, but I think this was helpful to all our viewers. Many callers are dialing into our newsrooms. Thank you for joining us. So we'll keep a close track on the situation in India, with 4 cases being reported this evening.